What is going on, Jaguars fans? Welcome back to the Fan Cave, where we talk about everything and anything Jaguars. Once again, we are joined by our guest, Tyler Leslie, host of the Jags Nation YouTube channel. What's going on, Tyler?
What's going on, man? Just enjoying this free agency and ready to talk some Jags football.
Absolutely. I'm glad you brought up free agency because it was a wild one. Day one, it looked like this guy was going to come falling down. You would have thought with it looked like no signings when Philip Dorsett leads off the group. But day two roared back with a lot of good free agents. Well, who's your favorite one?
Oh man, this is tough because actually I really like this free agency class. I think it's very underrated. But if I had to pick up my favorite one, definitely gonna be Shaquille Griffin, a corner from the Seattle Seahawks. A
Hmm.
position the Jaguars definitely needed to upgrade. I mean, CJ Henderson last year showed glimpses of why he was a first round pick, but also showed that he can be very inconsistent at times. So we definitely needed that number one corner in here. But what I really liked about Griffin was his attitude. He came in here basically saying, "I'm not going to be no number one corner. I'm not going to be given it. I got to earn it." And he also talked about being a leader, and he really wanted to play in Florida. He's from the St. Pete area, and something that really also stood out is Jenkins, a safety from the Chargers. They grew up together, and they already have that connection. So
Hmm.
having a corner and a safety connection already is already a huge plus for the Jaguars because you read each other's minds. You already know their thought process of what they're going to do. So I think overall, with the addition of Griffin already makes his secondary 10 times better than it was last year.
Absolutely, absolutely. Honestly, I wanted to go with Shaquille myself, but I had a feeling you were going to go with him, so I figured I'd throw another name out there, Roy Robertson Harris. I feel like he's going to be like not almost a sleeper because he is a good name coming in, but he provides essentially newness. Like I don't, it's a weird word to use, but I feel like the culture on that defensive line has just been like, okay, well, Calais is gone. Oh, well, Marcel Darius is gone. I guess I'll step up, and no one has. And now that we have this huge injection of new faces with Tyson Alualu and everyone coming in, I definitely think Roy Robertson Harris has a great opportunity to really stand out on a real lackluster defensive line.
Yeah, and I love the move, but I love the move with the whole defensive line. Urban Meyer
Absolutely.
completely revamped this whole entire defensive line. Obviously,
Hmm.
you kept Devon Hamilton from
Hmm.
last year, who showed a lot of promise. But I mean, like you said, Harris you brought in, you traded for Malcolm Brown, who I think that
Hmm.
for getting a seventh round pick, that's huge. You
Absolutely.
brought back Tyson. I mean, you're just making something Urban talked about in his press conference. He wants a top four defensive line because it starts at the defensive line. The defensive line is going to make your secondary better. It just,
Hmm.
if you get pressure, your corners are going to become better. But also, he's talking about being fast and staying healthy. So when you can continue to rotate all these defense linemen in and out, these offense linemen that are going to be tired when you have a fresh set of legs on the opposite
Hmm.
side. So I love the moves they're making, bringing all these defensive linemen in, and they're all for bargain deals. Like Tyson, I believe, was like 2 years, 6 million. A lot of these guys are like pretty cheap. So,
Hmm.
and it's not really big home run signing, but from where they were last year, they are 10 to 20 times better than they were.
Absolutely. I love that you brought up the Malcolm Brown trade because when you look at it like as like the big overview, we get Malcolm Brown for the seventh, and we also ship Josh Oliver off this team finally, and he can go be on the IR for the Baltimore Ravens. All he has to do is make the day one team, and we get that seventh round pick. So
Yep.
I mean, you blow it up like that, and you can almost say like we just traded somebody that wasn't going to make the team come August and September for someone that's going to be a good rotational player, possibly a starter on our defensive line. So I love that you brought him up.
Absolutely, and he's really good at run stopper. And from what I'm
Hmm.
reading from Saints fans, they said he is very underrated. I mean, he's came from two winning organizations, New England Patriots, where he's won two Super Bowls, and now the New Orleans Saints. And
Hmm.
the big thing here is he's only 27 years old. He could
Yep.
just now be entering his prime, and he knew he was going to get released or traded. So when he found out he was coming here and then signed the extension, he is ecstatic. And once again, in his press conference, good attitude, happy to be here. He wants to help this team grow. And what I like about all these free agency signings is they all said the same thing, talked about Urban Meyer and wanting to build this team up, basically, watch them grow. And they want to be here for when the Jaguars take off. So,
Absolutely.
that attitude and leadership is huge for the Jaguars and something a good culture, like what a good organization would have.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You brought up how Malcolm Brown was, like underrated. And I feel like that's the story of a lot of these free agents that came in. They weren't big names, but they're all just underrated. Like Urban Meyer's been touted as a great talent evaluator, and he's been able to find diamonds in the rough while at Ohio State, Florida, Utah, and now he's going to be able to bring that like talent seeking ability to Jacksonville, and I'm just really excited for it.
Yeah, yeah, me too. And one thing I do want to point out is, obviously some fans are gonna be upset because we didn't get that, that A plus,
Hmm.
signing that big name guy. But I feel you got to look at it from Urban Meyer's perspective. Yeah, they probably went after a few guys, but unfortunately, they didn't get them. Either got outbid or just, I want to. Why would you want to come to 115 football team in the
Hmm.
first place, right?
Exactly.
So obviously, that's a reason. But when you can get three solid starters or just one high price free agent, sometimes it's better to go towards those three solid starters over just one player.
Absolutely, absolutely. I was thinking about this the other day, and I thought of like a bucket where you have a bucket and it has a bunch of holes in it, and it's like you can put a big patch with one big splash signing on the bucket, but you have a bunch of other holes just leaking out water, and instead you start just plugging little holes. You just stop the flow, you slow the flow, and then we go from a 1-15 to a 5-11 to an 8-8, and next thing you know we're a perennial 11-5, 12-4 football team, and it's just like, oh, I guess okay. The depth signings were adequate.
Yeah, absolutely. And something, we got tore up with the injuries last year, so we're gonna have these great backups
Hmm.
that I forget who said it on Twitter, but said if anyone out there plays Madden, we're gonna be like the first team that has all their backups are gonna be 70 or over, like the overall
Exactly. Yeah.
ranking.
Exactly. Yeah. You're just gonna be able to like trade everyone. You're gonna have 9 first-round picks in your Madden franchise.
Yeah.
But okay, so we talked a lot about underrated players. Who do you think is like the most underrated and almost like a sleeper coming into this year?
All right, so I personally I think it's very underrated, but Jahad Ward, the defensive
Hmm.
end slash linebacker from the Baltimore Ravens. I mean, you
Okay.
heard Urban Meyer brought up saying Joe Cullen was basically pounding the desk to get this guy in here, and when I watched him, tape, he has a lot of untapped potential. He's very fast at getting to the quarterback, but he didn't play that much. He was more of a rotational guy. Here, I think he's going to see more snaps. We'll see if he plays that defensive end. In that 3-4, or if we're Chase on, he'll play the outside linebacker spot. So we'll see what position they put him in, but I think he can end up being a very underrated signing for the Jaguars.
Absolutely. I'm excited because I believe, yeah, it was like Urban said he was the loudest anyone's ever banged on a table for a player. It was like it shocked him how much he was like he wanted him. It was like, all right, if you're gonna get
Yeah.
this adamant about a player, I can get down with it. But I'm gonna go with the third group on the field. I'm gonna go with the special teams, Jamal Agnew. He this is probably gonna be like a weird signing. Whenever it was like a day one signing, it was like, okay, what's this guy offer? You look up his stats and he's like, oh, he's been in the league for 4 years and he has 14 receptions. Like, come on now, why are we bringing in this guy along with Philip Dorsett? It was looking really lackluster. And then you look more into Jamal Agnew and you realize in his rookie year, he was a first team All Pro returner. And it's like, okay, cool. And you look at the 2017 team, how often was it Jadon Mickens was returning kicks? And if you add two special teams touchdowns on a season, those can be game breaking touchdowns because that's a quick, easy possession and without really doing anything, and it can really suck the sails out of a team's momentum. And it's just honestly, I'm excited for having a good special teams because last year it was just kind of okay, go out there, Keelan Cole. Oh wow, Keelan got like a 40-yard return. Cool, cool, cool. But
Yeah.
now this year we have legitimate possibility of like game breaking speed and just we know he's a proven returner, almost like a Jadon Mickens was. Like he proved in the Super Bowl too.
Yeah. I absolutely agree. He's actually one of my very favorite underrated signings. And a lot of players in the league said he is one of the best returners in all of football. So I'm definitely, excited about that. Obviously, I
Hmm.
think some fans at first when we saw 3 years, $21 million for a returner, it's like, are you kidding me? But then
Exactly.
you start watching his highlights. I think he has like 5 or 6 total returns. So that's huge. And like
Hmm.
you said, if he gets those one or two, return touchdowns in a game in a season, like you said, that's game changing. That can potentially be a win. Special
Hmm.
teams, you don't realize special teams can cost you a game very quickly.
Absolutely.
And Urban Meyer is huge on special teams. So that's why you look at a guy like Ruby Ford, Rudy Ford they signed from the Eagles. He's one of the best gunners in football. So you
Hmm.
can see here Urban Meyer wants good special teams as well.
Absolutely. I don't know why, but that's always been like my favorite thing. I love watching kickoffs get returned for touchdowns. They're just so exciting because you see him and he gets to that big wall of all the defenders coming after him, and then you just see him hit that hole and disappear. And it's just
Yep.
I love watching one guy just run down the field by himself. It's like, oh well, okay, cool. But we were talking about sleepers and how a lot of these were depth signings. What's your reaction to not really bringing in a big name?
Uh, I'm okay with it because I think Griffin's a pretty big name. Like obviously, I think we were expecting someone like Johnny Smith, who I saw some reports that the Jaguars were going after. Unfortunately, chose the New England Patriots.
Hmm.
So obviously not getting that big name tight end, it definitely hurts and all that. But you get someone like Marvin Jones, that's a pretty big name coming here. That's huge. You get Griffin, that's a pretty big name. That's huge. Um, so I'm on the I think opposite side or the side of things that's I'm okay with not getting that big splash because I think we got a lot of solid players that's definitely going to help the team.
Absolutely, absolutely. And for me, it almost feels like Urban and Trent Baalke got like outclassed. It was this was a welcome to the NFL rook, as it like essentially for Urban Meyer being like you had the most cap space and you didn't get anyone you wanted.
Yeah.
Like to say that it was like that we weren't interested in them. I feel is like it's the girl at the bar when you're like, oh hey, can I get your number? No, don't talk to me. Oh, I wasn't that interested in you anyway. And it's like, were you, or are you really just saying that to make yourself feel better? Because honestly, in my opinion, the Jaguars got outclassed in free agency, and NFL GMs and head coaches flexed their muscle and said, this isn't college. There's no secret bag man that can come give them money because we're just gonna tell them we're better than you. And honestly, I feel like it worked, and it makes the Jaguars look bad, in my opinion. It makes it. I know it doesn't really affect like the fans' outlook, but in the realm of like owners and GMs and head coaches, I feel like we're the laughing stock of the NFL right now. Where it's just like, look at those losers; they didn't get anyone on their list. They were going heavy after Devon Hamilton, didn't get him. Jonnu Smith didn't get him, and it was just seemed like one after another. It was like, oh, okay, there goes him. Oh, well, okay, okay. Well, there's still this guy. Oh, nope, he go. Oh, okay, nope, he's also signed with the Patriots. And
Yeah.
I just, I felt embarrassed, but it wasn't like it didn't feel like a bad embarrassment almost.
Yeah, no, I completely understand it, and I kind of I'm the same way, but I'm a little different. I'm in the sense that Urban Meyer, he talks about value, but I think he gave a list to Trent Baalke. I
Mhm.
want this guy, this guy, this guy, this guy. And Baalke is known for not paying a lot of players in free agency. You look at the 49ers,
Mhm.
he didn't bring a lot of players to free agency, and I think some of the blame is on Trent Baalke for not overpaying. When I
Mhm.
think Urban Meyer he wanted a bunch of these guys, but then Baalke was like, oh, "I'm not getting any of these guys. Oh, like shit, I'm in trouble."
Exactly. Yeah. Where it's just like, okay, you like it's like in the draft too. Like you're sitting at number 8, and you've got that big board of like, oh, maybe this guy might fall to me. This guy might fall to me, and he's like, oh, nope, he's gone. Oh, okay, nope. That was like the tale of last year with I forget his name, the defensive lineman for the Carolina Panthers, and then like Isaiah Simmons and all
Yeah.
of these guys were just like, okay, one of them's gonna fall to us, one of them has to, and it was like, oh no, okay, we're stuck with C.J. Henderson. I'm gonna be happy about it, but I would have much rather had him. That's honestly just how I feel about it.
Absolutely, I agree.
So speaking of the draft, it was this, obviously free agency comes before it, and you feel your major needs in free agency prior to entering the draft. How do you feel the holes that were filled in free agency impact our draft?
I think it impacts the middle to late rounds in a sense. A tight end is something the Jaguars are 100%
Hmm.
they're gonna have to draft either at 25, 33, or 45. They're gonna have to
Hmm.
get a tight end. I wouldn't be surprised if they actually draft two tight ends, one in the first and either first or second round, and one in the mid to late
Hmm.
rounds. Or if whether they go out there and trade maybe for Zach Ertz or David Njoku, if they go
Hmm.
that route, they can still draft someone else. But they're definitely going to have to draft someone in the very early on. But I was always about getting a corner in round two. You pick
Hmm.
33 or 45, but now getting Griffin and re-signing Sidney Jones, I think that definitely puts a backseat to that position.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I got back to my bucket analogy, like the free agency, you're kind of just like throwing things in the bucket, hoping they fill it. Well, free agency is actually like plugging the holes in the bucket. And it makes me nervous because it was like I said, there wasn't outside of like, Shaquille Griffin, there's no major like repairs done to our little bucket we have as Jaguars fans. And I hate to toe the line of just in urban we trust, but I feel like that's how it's got to be. Where it's like, okay, they brought him in for a reason. He's heralded as one of the best and the biggest names coming in for a reason. Let's just ride the waves, and you know the cruise ship pilot or captain gets paid the money to get you through the waves, and that's why you pay him the money. And there's a
Yep.
reason you don't get paid that money. So in urban we trust, I guess. Well, we talked about what the impact is. Why not? Let's do it. Let's do a little 3 round mock draft. What do you say?
All right, perfect. Let's go for it.
Let's go. Number one pick. Who do you take? Mac Jones, Kyle Trask? I know it's a big choice.
That's tough, but I got to go with Trevor Lawrence on this one.
Okay. Oh, wow. Bulletin board material right here. I'm headlining ESPN. Absolutely. Trevor Lawrence. No question. No doubt.
Absolutely.
Number 25. Who you taking?
Number 25, I am actually going to be taking uh Trayvon Morig from safety from TCU.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Jenkins is a great addition to the safety room, but I believe Trayvon Morig is going to just be an absolute monster in this
Uh,
level. And honestly, the more I see him, the more I don't think that he's actually going to be available at 25. You look at it's kind of like one of those like pipe dreams of like, oh, maybe this guy's going to fall, maybe this guy's no, somebody at 15, 16, 17 is going to look at that and go, how the hell did this guy make it this far? And just he's going to snag him up. And
Absolutely.
unfortunately, as much as I want to see him in a Jaguars uniform, um, that's a whole pipe dream right there. And so number 33, where are you going with that?
Number 33, I have Pat Fryermuth, tight end from Penn State.
All right, I feel like you're copying me here. Did you like look at my notes or something like that? Because I definitely feel like we are following the exact same line here. I'll know where if you go over 45, I know you'll definitely been on my list. But
Okay.
I'm going Fryermuth as well. The lack of a tight end being signed in free agency just that screams to me, what are we doing? Like I feel like we might as well have telegraphed if Morig's not available, if Darisaw and Barmore aren't available at 25, Fryermuth's going to be the pick there. And
Absolutely.
but for the sake of the mock, let's go ahead. I'm gonna take Fryermuth at 33, and we'll roll on to 45.
All right, and for 45, I actually went. I was very like I didn't know who to really take here when I was
Mhm.
doing my mock draft, but I ended up going Alex Leatherwood, the tackle from Alabama. I went this way because of the fact that Cam Robinson franchise tag. We don't know if he's going to end up signing a long term deal, and you want to have that left tackle figured out. And as well as I think he can potentially play right tackle. So if Cam Robinson signs a long term deal and Jawan Taylor ends up not panning out, you can slide Leatherwood to right tackle. But also we do need a backup tackle, and I think that Leatherwood should be there at 45.
Absolutely. Now, I believe you did look at my notes, but you just got the player wrong. So I'm going Samuel Cosme out of Texas with number 45. And in all honesty, like he was somebody that was originally early mocked, top 15. Then he's slowly just been falling backwards, and a lot of draft scouts are saying it does have to do with his footwork. But when you look at him and run blocking situations and even some pass blocking sets, he looks a lot almost like Trent Williams, and then Orlando Brown, with the fact that he can just be that run blocking mauler, where it's just like corn fed and just ready to run over everybody in his way. And if he can get his footwork worked out, and with George Warhop being the uh, the almighty offensive line coach that was able to be retained on the team, I believe Samuel Cosby could be a great addition to and be that ultimate replacement for Cam Robinson.
Absolutely, I 100% agree. I'll be happy with him as well.
Absolutely. Number 65, where are you going?
This might be a little too early to take him. He might be going around later on, but I'm going to Mario Rogers, a wide receiver from Clemson. Obviously, I think, Urban Meyer in his press conference the other day, media press conference, he talked about we're not done at wide receiver. So I assume that means they're looking at the draft to draft another wide receiver. And now you're looking at direction. All right, so what do you want to draft someone first round, second round? Maybe, probably not, because you have other needs to fill. So now you're looking at third round. Like I said, Amari Rogers, he might go later, but he has a connection with Trevor Lawrence. He's from Clemson,
Mhm.
and I think giving Trevor Lawrence someone he's comfortable with early on in his career would be very beneficial.
Absolutely, absolutely. You look at like someone coming from Clemson last year in T. Higgins, and he had great success coming out of from a good college quarterback program to playing with Joe Burrow in Cincinnati, and he honestly had a really good year coming out of Clemson last year. So hopefully he can transfer those skills as well into the NFL, continuing to play with Trevor Lawrence. But I'm gonna double up here. I know this probably gonna get some boos on draft day if it does come down to this. But in my opinion, this is one of the most important positions on offense. You look at like game breakers like Travis Kelsey, George Kittle, and I'm going Brevin Jordan. I'm loading the parts cannon of tight ends. I'm just going to continue to throw tight ends at this problem until we get it fixed. Because without Travis Kelsey, without George Kittle, they're without Gronk. Tom Brady has his Gronk, Mahomes has his Kelsey. Without them, they're a different offense, and that offense does not run as smoothly as it does without having a great run blocking, pass catching tight end. And Brevin Jordan is more of like a just a big wide receiver that can block. Well, Freiermuth is the big. He's the Gronk in this situation. And if they both pan out insanely, it's great. But if only one of them works out, I still feel like it's a worthy draft because it's such an important position on the offense.
Absolutely. I was actually considered taking a second tight end in my mock draft as well. I used to not be high on Jordan, but
Hmm.
lately I watch more and more film. Like, man, like if Freiermuth's gone at 25, I would even consider pulling the trigger at 45 for
Woo!
Jordan. And
Wow.
you see these rumors that Jaguars are going after Johnny Smith. I think he is very similar to him.
Hmm.
He's fast. He can be used as a gadget. You can put him in the backfield if you really
Hmm.
want to. So I think having both those tight ends would actually be very very useful. And then you talk about the third tight end they added in free agency. What's his name?
Man hurts.
Yeah, Manhurts, and he is one of the best blocking tight ends in all of football.
Hmm.
So now you got your blocking tight end, and you got your two pass catching tight ends on top of all the wide receivers you have with Trevor
Exactly.
Lawrence. That's a dominant offense.
I could only imagine the three tight end sets with James Robinson in the background, in the backfield, and it's just what are we gonna do? Get ready for this because you have no idea what is coming.
And then
We're
you have
gonna
one wide receiver on the outside. It could be a play action and run pass. You
ex-
have no idea.
exactly, yeah, high fade over in the back of the end zone to DJ Charker. I'm gonna run it straight up the middle with James Robinson. Here we go. I'm getting hype again just talking about this offense. I can hear it
We'll,
now. Trevor Lawrence touchdown, DJ Chark. I can hear it.
we'll see if they fix that tight end group very quickly because some of the stuff I'm reading, it seems like don't be surprised if the Jaguars go out there on offense and run 5 or 6 wide receiver sets.
Whew. I don't know what I would do if like Terry Godwin gets called up from the practice squad. He's out there running. He's just out there running crossing routes. A six wide receiver set would be, or a five, I guess I should say, would be
Yeah,
just absolutely insane.
you're gonna have a linebacker on some wide receiver. You're
Oh
going
yeah,
to. It's gonna
there's no
happen.
way you're just gonna have. And then with like Trevor Lawrence's sneaky running ability, where it's just gonna be like, oh hey, welcome to the NFL. I also run a 4.5. It's like
Yes. So I'm gonna run on you really quick too.
exactly, yeah. I'm like Lamar Jackson if Lamar Jackson could actually throw.
No one's signing it up there in Baltimore right now to be the wide receiver.
No, exactly, yeah. And I saw something where it was like Lamar Jackson quote tweeted something on Twitter where it was like the Ravens trying to go after wide receivers, and it was like, you get a dollar, you get a dollar, you get a dollar. And he was just like, why do I feel like this is true? It's like I don't have any help here. He's Hollywood Brown, but like he's only so good because you eventually just put that safety over the top, and he's essentially neutralized. And especially with
Yeah.
them losing Mark Ingram, that offense is going to be interesting to say the least.
Yep. Absolutely.
But it's been great as always. Where can Jaguars fans find you?
They can find me on Twitter, which I assume you will put a link to in the description
Absolutely.
as well as you can find my YouTube channel, the Jags Nation. I'm pretty sure he's gonna put a link in the description as well for
Yep.
that one. So definitely go check my YouTube channel out. We've done other videos together in the past, and I assume we will have more in the future.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's always great. It's always great fun having you on talking Jaguars football. I appreciate it. And as always, stay safe and go Jaguars.
Go Jags.